It's odd a little bit. I know the Bears are I think we talked about this a lot last year too, is the Bears are so well media trained, and it's interesting to finally get a piece of media that could be a little bit controversial. But it's like, thank God, compared to like, I know we're getting to it, but I can't help it. Honestly, the one main thing that I kind of want to talk about on this podcast a little bit is like, I don't understand. Why does this team go on record, especially so much with the quarterback position, and being like, hey, like Justin Fields isn't going to start week 1? Like, why say that? Yeah. There's no need. Yeah. They made these same mistakes during the Trubisky era by making these promises or saying such and such. It's like, address that. Hell, like, I know the media is going to be all over you, but address that, the presser before the game of week 1, or say something in preseason. Why do it all the way back now and dig yourself a hole? It doesn't need to be dug. Like, it's so odd to me. And it's always coming from Nagy too. Like, I appreciate Nagy, and he certainly has his faults. I mean, I honestly would have been okay if he was fired, but at the same time, I can understand why he's still around. I think he could do good things for this Bears team, and I think overall he will be a good head coach someday. I don't think he's a great head coach right now, but he certainly has the potential to be. At the same time, why do this, man? It just, I just don't like it. I just don't like it.
And so before we move on to that, 2 things I want to say really quickly to wrap up the stadium thing. The one thing that I love about Soldier Field is that the seating in the nosebleeds is unreasonably steep. And for that reason, there really is not a bad seat in Soldier Field, which is unlike many other sports stadiums. And then the last thing I want to say is I wonder if this has any effect on whether or not the Chicago Bears will be sold or not. Maybe they're trying. I feel like if they do buy Arlington, they're less likely to be sold. But we'll have to see on that front. As far as the Nagy thing, I think I'm going to take a little bit of a different stance, Reese. I understand it. I understand it because with drafting Justin Fields, there is so much expectation. There is so much expectation right now on Justin Fields to be immediately good when he hits the field. Because, and rightfully so, the Bears spent a big draft pick on him. He has a good team around him, has a great defense behind him. He has all of these things about him, and he's such a, an explosive talent. He really is everything the Chicago Bears have been missing, and fans are excited. But quarterback development isn't always linear. He's going to make his mistakes in his rookie year, and especially in a scheme like a West Coast offense, specifically Matt Nagy's West Coast offense, which is arguably one of the most difficult on the quarterback. But when ran properly, can be extremely effective and extremely explosive, as we see in Kansas City. I think what Nagy has tried to do, and maybe he didn't take the right approach to this, but is tamper expectations. Yeah. If Bears fans are calling for Justin Fields week 1, I almost feel better that he says it now than saying it the week before the first game. Why? Because going into it, Bears fans have the expectation that no matter what happens in camp doesn't matter. Camp doesn't matter for the result of week 1, truthfully. And I feel like the media, if he didn't come out and take the blame for this and say, listen, he didn't even directly say that he's not starting week 1. He said that Andy's the starter. But if he didn't come out and say it now, by the time week 1 rolls around and you see Andy Dalton starting, can you imagine how many damn, media, how many like articles and stuff you'd see like, oh, Justin Fields couldn't beat out Andy Dalton, and I don't think he wants that to be the narrative. I think he wants everyone's expectations to be aligned with the fact that, hey, this is going to be a longer term process. We're not expecting him to start right now. We don't even want him to start right now. We're not even going to really give him that opportunity because we want to make sure mentally he's 110% ready.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, those expectations are going to be there week 8, week 10, week 1. It doesn't matter. Yeah. Those expectations aren't going anywhere. They're still there. And if they want to hide behind it, if they want to try to extend their, future, their tenure with the Bears by, holding them out, having them have a couple of good games towards the end of the season and be like, yeah, see, like, this is the route that we're going, then fine, whatever. Like, I'm not going to complain about it. And I think that, at the end of the day, if they sit him and try to develop him, that's cool. At the same time, this team has not developed a quarterback in forever. I'd rather him
literally ever
learn and develop on the field, get reps. I don't think he's someone like a Mahomes situation that's going to benefit all too much by sitting him a year. I really don't, frankly.
Yeah, that's a great point.
I just
the faulty logic behind Matt Nagy treating this like Patrick Mahomes is that, and I don't think that this is hyperbole. Justin Fields was a better college quarterback than Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, more or less. I mean, certainly had more in college. Listen, for sure.
Well, more NFL ready. Patrick Mahomes wasn't drafted because he was this. I mean, he was a baller in college, but he was a baller at Texas Tech. In an air raid offense, which had at that point never been successful in the NFL. So when you kind of like take it more into context, Justin Fields, while he was a better quote unquote college quarterback, I mean, we're talking about a guy that was playing in the national championship. It's not hyperbole in the slightest to say that, Justin Fields was a better college quarterback. Doesn't mean he's going to be a better NFL quarterback. God, I can only wish he would be. He probably won't be, because we're talking about someone who's on trajectory to have a career. I don't think it's hyperbole to say he might have a career like Tom Brady. Like he's going to have an insane career. I mean, at this point, he's played in 2 Super Bowls and won the MVP. It's insane. His track record is insane right now. But he was drafted based on traits, and he was developed at the NFL level. Whereas Justin Fields, he's kind of viewed more like a Deshaun Watson. And what did Deshaun Watson do his rookie year? He played.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think that's just kind of where I sit on it. And, at the end of the day, I get where you're coming from, where, imagine the media uproar if they didn't say anything. But it's just, I just don't see the point in being so forward thinking to a fault and acting like they have this down to a complete system, because they haven't. Like, I know Trubisky was never Nagy's guy.
We know how to develop quarterbacks here.
Yeah.
We understand this process.
I'm not buying behind the whole offensive guru, quarterback guru thing of Matt Nagy anymore, because simply I just don't believe it. I think that he can, put this offense in a place where it's going to succeed, but at the same time, I think putting in this false hope that, letting him sit in a year with Nagy at the helm and treating it and hoping that it's going to buy in and work just like it did for Mahomes when he was in Kansas City is just wishful thinking at the end of the day. So, in my mind, I think it's fine. Go ahead and put Fields out. If he truly isn't ready week 1, then don't play him. I'm not saying you need to force him into a situation where, it's not going to be beneficial to him. But you said it yourself, At the end of the day, he's going to learn the most by getting those reps, actual reps out on the field. And him throwing the ball around in practice is not going to do anything for him, I don't really think.
Yeah. No, I mean, you're right on that. Do you have any hope for Andy Dalton? Like any hope that he could be, serviceable?
Well, I think he can be serviceable. But I think anything above...
Like better than what we've had.
Sure. I think he can be better than Nick Foles. I mean, with Trubisky, I'm not going to come out here and say that he was some great quarterback. I think his skill set allowed this Bears offense to, maybe even look a little bit more dynamic than it really was. But I think that's ultimately what I worry about a little bit with Dalton, is just how dynamic the offense can be, because I remember how stale it was with Foles, and they're not the same quarterback at all. But at the end of the day, it's not like Justin Fields. He's not going to be making a lot of plays with his legs. Not like Trubisky's not going to be making a lot of plays with his legs. It just kind of stresses the importance of having that good offensive line like we talked about way beforehand. And there's a chance that someone like Dalton is going to blow a couple of games that probably were manageable. And Justin Fields may do the same thing in his rookie season. Like you said, he'll probably make a couple odd, dumb mistakes that seem out of character for him. But at the end of the day, Andy Dalton is simply a placeholder, just a lot like Glennon was, just like Nick Foles was. And we can only hope that he performs better than both of those. And I think that he will. I think he'll do fine. But at the end of the day, it's simply a stopgap. It's a quick little Band-Aid. And, ultimately we're hoping that the permanent solution is there. I mean, that you're not having to worry about putting
Yeah.
a little Band-Aid solution over. At the end of the day, you know, I don't know if I necessarily trust the Bears to make the right decision. I think that, you know, if he does sit, it's not going to ruin him or anything like that. But I think that it might just lead to wasted opportunity as well.
Yeah, I understand that. I absolutely understand it. I just have to say, you know, before we move on, I'm gonna paint the picture for you guys right here. 2018, I think it was like week 7 or something. The Bears are playing Sunday Night Football against the Vikings in Soldier Field. Reese, do you remember when Eddie Jackson picked off Kirk Cousins and ran it back to the end zone?
Yeah.
We were at that game
because Kirk Cousins blows.
I have to say that has to be one of my favorite football moments ever.
That was a good
because
game. The atmosphere in that stadium was really good.
Crazy. And that game was also so important for the Bears in 2018 because everyone was saying, yeah, the Bears have a good record, but who have they really beaten, you know? And the defense was still kind of being disrespected. You know, they lost against the Packers week 1 off of a, you know, major comeback. Man, I just had to share that because if Soldier Field, if the Bears leave Soldier Field, that is the one memory that I will always remember is when Eddie Jackson picked off Kirk Cousins. You know, left side, Kirk Cousins was trying to throw a little out route. Eddie Jackson comes in, picks it, points a defender, points another defender to block for him, gets the block in the end zone.
You're not gonna remember the Connor Barth missed field goal or the double doink. Should I keep going on?
Yeah.
With all
I
these
I saw the double joink. We also saw Connor Barth doink it against the Detroit Lions. What was the other game we saw that year?
The Mahomes basically like 28 piecing us in the first half.
We saw that was in 2019 though. In 2018, we also saw the Bears beat the Packers to win the division.
I guess that's a positive moment.
Yeah, that was a positive moment.
You take the good with the bad here with the Bears. I mean, you never know. You could be going to a game where they're going to win the division, or you could be witnessing just monumental and absolute heartbreak.